Hello, everybody, whoever's here at the time. Yeah, I always have to wait until some folks come in, but don't really get a whole lot of folks, which I can understand that some of them are still working. Which side is better? See, that one actually looks semi-okay, but when you flip it around here, it's like, yeah. And so yeah, I got a little bigger flag here. I have two like smaller flags like this, which are the same thing, the Progress Pride flag. But anyway, yeah, it's more about Pride, this stream. Again, doesn't seem like anyone's live in the chat right now, but I guess I'll figure something out. Oops. I might try to chill while waiting for some other folks. Truth is, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, let's try to look at pride-related stuff or stuff involving LGBTQ plus everything. Um, but at the same time, I don't quite want to mooch on other people's like content, you know. But anyway, let's first I gotta do something. Hey Johanna, how's it going? So you only got a little bit of time left. Well, that's perfectly understandable. Like I said, some folks, you know, they have other stuff going on in their lives, so it's no biggie. Looks like that should be good.
J.K. Rowling did another stupid, idiotic, hate-filled tweet because that's all she does. That is literally her life. She just churns out B-tier, stupid gender-critical propaganda. And then Boy George.
By the way, this is Katie Montgomery. She's a trans woman from the I think she's British. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Somewhere in the UK. Um, and let's disable the captions. Okay.
The 80s musician, responded to her.
Boy George is yeah, Joanna. I mean, I think when I first saw you here, I may have said Joanna because I'm a fan of Sweeney Todd, of course. But yeah, it's Johanna, so I'm not, I'm gonna try to do things correctly so that, just out of respect, same with pronouns. I mean, if they say that your pronouns are she, her, then let's use she, her, Like, that's just common decency. Um, and yeah, Boy George, he's like a queer icon. He's known for, uh, hits like Kama Chameleon, and he wore makeup and was just kind of flamboyant, very feminine. Has since grown a beard and also, yeah, um, still with the makeup and just, you know, expressing his individuality and all that. He's still not the best, greatest person in the world, as Katie is, obviously, kind of just saying, some guy from the 80s. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know if he's like a bad person, but I know that J.K. Rowling definitely is a bad person. She's just a gender critical, bigot, fascist, transphobe, all of that stuff. And I'm not gonna like get too much into this because I don't want to mooch off her content much. I mean, she does like a live stream, and sometimes she makes these little cuts here, little clips, in case folks didn't catch her live stream. But anyway,
And then loads of people were like, "Wow, look at this amazing response from Boy George." And I thought I'd comment on it because obviously J.K. Rowling is terrible. I don't think Boy George is doesn't seem to be particularly clued up. There's some dubious past quotes. But I thought I'd give my view on it. So let's just go through this. So J.K. Rowling says, there is no living as a woman, there is only living whilst being a woman, or performing a male idea of what a woman is whilst being a man. And this is like a classic gender critical attempt at claiming that trans people aren't real, basically. The claim here is that trans women, like me, perform what being a woman is, whereas women like J.K. Rowling don't. And it's one of those things where you would hope that it was obviously bullshit to everyone, but obviously we need to explain this because 73,000 thousands of people and thousands of bots like this tweet. And it is a sentiment you sometimes see from gender criticals. The thing is, from my experience at least, I'm not performing anything. Like, when I live my life as a woman, there's nothing extra I need to do. I just walk around and live my life. Like, I just go to work, I go to the shops, I get up, I get dressed, I brush my teeth, I just do the things that people do. And people interact with me how they interact with women. And they don't interact with me how they interact with men. And that has a whole range
just realized
of...
that my chat was going over her face, but I moved it over here. Well, folks will still see it.
implications that can involve sexism, for example, but it can involve other things which aren't necessarily sexism, but just things, well, you could argue they were sexism, but just ways in which people treat men and women differently. They talk to each other differently. Women talk to other women differently than women talk to men, and men talk to women differently than they talk to others.
Oops. Sorry, I just don't want to get too much into...
And now they do that when I'm there. So there's loads of things. There's also there's like safety things. There's also like sexuality things. Like, for example, straight men hit on me, gay men don't hit on me. It used to be the other way around.
And I mean, why would they? I mean, she's clearly she would clearly be read as a woman. I mean, I don't think any gay man would really look at that and say, "Oh, I'd like to get down and dirty with that bitch," or whatever. Like, of course not, because gay men are men who are attracted to other men, and clearly we're not seeing a man here.
So that is something that women experience in general. That's like part of living as a woman, is that you might experience sexism targeted at women. You might also experience people hitting on you. You might also experience all kinds of things and how society treats you. But also then there's things that you might say are generally what lots of women do, which might come under the banner of living as a woman. For example, I went to a bra fitting a while ago. I mean, ages ago. I haven't had one in ages. But because I wear bras, because I have breasts like most women, but not all women. And unlike most men, but not all men. But
There are big booby women, there are small booby women, and there are no boobied women, to quote Vosh, who is not exactly the best person right now, but anyway.
like that is a thing. That there's no performance required for any of this. Like I just go through life just existing, doing things. Like I will in the future need breast cancer screenings, which is something women in the UK get and men don't get by default. There's just loads of stuff like this. I mean, there's even if you want to get more specific into biology, there's things like I smell different to men and I smell like other women because hormones is like the thing that changes your smell. And you might be like, how is that like living like a woman or whatever? But if you walk in a room full of sweaty men and you're a woman, you know you smell it straight away. And that's because of how hormones affect both your smell and how your sense of smell works. And that's one of the things that people notice in transition is they smell different and they smell other things differently. When you're the one doing the smellings, things smell differently. So, like, from social interaction, anything else, she just lives her life the same like I do and just goes outside and people interact with her like they interact with women because they read her as a woman because she is a woman. And then sometimes you'll get from some people, like for example, right now I am wearing a dress. However, like the last 3 or 4 streams I did, I wasn't. It's a nice sunny day today. I think dresses look nice. I think this dress looks nice on me, so I wore it. And you can say that's performing gender. I have long hair. I'm currently wearing makeup. J.K. Rowling's profile picture, all of those things are true for her too. So in what ways am I performing something that she isn't? She's like you could say, oh, she's pressured in order to have long hair and to wear makeup and look a certain way. And what, you don't think that applies to me? It applies to me even stronger, actually, because they always go for women first, is their looks. And that's also true for when transphobes attack trans people, they attack trans women. I was only living whilst being a woman. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just living and I'm being a woman and people are interacting with me as a woman. And that's why I would describe it as living as a woman, because people didn't used to interact with me like a woman. I didn't used to have to worry about medical conditions that affect women and don't affect men as much. Like, that's what it is, right? I'm just navigating through the world in a similar way to what J.K. Rowling does, apart from I'm not a hate-filled billionaire living in a mouldy castle. Like, that's the big difference here. Actually, I would say that most women don't live in a hate-filled rage talking about people she's never interacted with from a mouldy castle. That isn't a very, it's not a very female thing of you to do, J.K. Rowling. That's what I'm saying. It is quite male behaviour, to be honest. Most transphobes are men. Most billionaires are men. Most people who live in shitholes are men. I think that's quite male behaviour. My house, I'm not a billionaire, don't live in a castle, not sex. Generic gender critical thing. Getting onto the drama. Boy George responds.
Finally.
This is your obsession, and it's pretty relentless, and for no reason. True. You don't get to decide who or what anyone is except when you write. In the real world, people can and always will be what they want to be. You can't stop it, but you can continue to make young kids' lives more difficult. You are cruel, JK. He doesn't mean you're cruel. JK! I mean, you have started to look cruel in pictures. True. I'm definitely reading that. All this obsession is wearing on your expression. The pictures of you mocking trans people like Winston Churchill after the Supreme Court ruling. Why does he put trans in quotes? Anyway, your endless comments about how rich you are, it's depressing and tacky and proves you are desperate to mean something, but sadly you are just being mean. I said that's a bit poetic there. as my hilarious friend David Hoyle has always says, ladies and gentlemen, those of you still deciding, there are two types of people: nice people and cunts.
So basically, yeah, I mean, he's, you know, Boy George, obviously right in most parts, but it seems, I don't know, some things were not quite worded or quoted quite correctly. But anyway, I don't know if anyone else is gonna hop in. Like I said, people, if they have work, I understand. Oops. But this stream was primarily supposed to be about, at least, some anime characters that are at least queer in some sort of way. And they're animes that I've actually watched. I didn't want to just search for a bunch of the characters and then, just read off whatever descriptions, uh, just to, anyway. So I guess in the most recently what well, not most recently necessarily, but the furthest back I can go to having like a character that was queer in some sort of way, or queer coded, was there's this anime called Black Butler, and it's not that kind of Black Butler. He's a demon, and he um, ends up this kid CL Phantom Hive makes a pact with him to basically ensure that he survives until the people who are responsible for his parents' deaths are, you know, killed or punished in some sort of way. So he makes a literal pact with Demon. One of the characters that we see as um, who is not really a demon, but is kind of a rogue, like Reaper, like because they have Reapers in that universe as well, as angels and demons, and there's different interpretations, religion wise. But anyway, uh, so Grell is was one. I think on the earlier episodes, they were like kind of in a, what's it called? Um, was like, I guess, kind of an understudy for Sebastian, who is the butler, who is actually a demon, with a pact with CL Phantom Hive, and originally that's what Grell was, but then I think was read as male, but then um, a few episodes later, turns out was not just regular human or whatever. They were actually a Reaper, but they were doing like reaping that was unauthorized or something like that. I think they did some unauthorized modifications to their so-called scythes, but not all of them had technically have a scythe, or literally have a scythe, because Grell actually has like a chainsaw blade, like a chainsaw. That's the um, that's the weapon they use to reap the souls of the people who are supposed to be departed. But um, they seem to identify as a woman, so she is a trans woman, but also happens to be a Reaper and not, you know, I don't know what their biology would be, because they're technically like death, the Grim Reaper and all that. But that was a certain amount of queerness that I remember watching in a couple of these anime from at least back in like early 2000s or like mid to mid 2000s to 2010 or something. I forgot when exactly Black Butler was like premiered basically. So that was kind of the earliest that I can remember. Again, that I watched all the way through, by the way. There's some anime that rarely you ever, you know, because there's a lot that have like hundreds of episodes. Like frickin' uh, Naruto has hundreds of episodes. Almost 1,000, I think. I think One Piece has like thousands and thousands, and I haven't watched that one for a really long time because I like anime that can I like shows in general that can be at least boiled down to just a few seasons and not just keep going and going and going and going and going and like unfortunately when they get like super popular like they don't want to stop. They just want to keep going with it. And another one that kind of comes to mind, at least from more recently, I mean, I could be right, I could be wrong with this, who knows? uh, um, Osana Najimi was in like a Netflix original anime, uh, Komi Can't Communicate. That's the title of it. And basically, like again, technically male, but also like who knows, uh, like what their identity is exactly. And I think sometimes, you know, they and I say they because I don't know exactly why, but essentially, they're kind of on the gender queer side, I guess. Like they don't like they may express their gender differently in some ways. Um, like obviously, as you see here, specifically, I guess I can try zooming in just a tad bit. So they're wearing like their stockings, and then there's like a skirt you can see there. So it's kind of like very gender neutral, gender queer. Like they're not really portraying as male or female, but yeah. But anyway, that's about it for that character, and um, yeah. And I mean, granted, there was also one that I was little bit unsure of including in here. Um, get me out of here. Ryuji. Um, Now this one again, I'm unsure because we don't know. Like we know the gender identity is that is a man a man, but is a cross-dresser and happens to be the father of Haruhi Fujioka. Um, and Haruhi's mom was Kotoko Fujioka. Um, but anyway, so Ryuji, otherwise known as Ranka, which is, I think, the name that she goes by, is more like a stage name because he, I don't know why I said she, but see, there's confusion going on here. But he works as a cross-dresser for, I think, or a drag queen. You could also say that too. Um, that may be their stage name, but identify as a man. And Haruhi calls him dad, so that's pretty much clear cut there. But he was with a woman, obviously, and that's how Haruhi was conceived. And Haruhi is like a girl, but also kind of androgynous. Doesn't really care what the gender is. She might even be pangender or slightly genderqueer, but that's one of the things I'm a little unsure of. Hmm. And anyway, so I don't know if like that would count as queer, but who knows? He could probably also be bi, but it's never like specified in in the show, so there's no really knowing. And I mean, there are some like harmful stereotypes in the show, and unfortunately, in a lot of anime. For instance, um, like like I said with Grell, she's trans, but is also portrayed as mm, you know not quite on the villain side, but is like rogue as like a rogue reaper who kind of just goes off and does her own thing and makes unauthorized modifications to the weapon that she uses for reaping. So there's portraying, a trans person as a slightly more villainous type, but not necessarily the villain. I mean, there's some who are clearly villains in that, in Black Butler in that anime. Um, but no one is really like good. I mean, there's a lot of gray areas in that show, and that just makes them a little more complex. And um, I would say, hello, Richie. Um, how's it going? Um, so anyway, doing the best I can to talk about some queer anime characters. And the more recent anime that I watched, that had someone who was kind of on the queer spectrum at least. Ryuji. Oops. Um, there's this Netflix original animated series that it's called Blue Period, and it's based on the manga. Um, and the character here is Ryuji Ayakawa. I may not be able to pronounce a lot of these correctly, but she's also known as uh, Yuka-chan, which is, and I mean, I'm saying she kind of loosely because from what I heard in like the actual anime, um, um, like first I think it was that she was, or they, I mean, I don't know what their exact identity is, but it's basically like later on it's kind of made clear that they're biologically male. I don't know if that's too much of a spoiler, but tend to dress very femininely or very non-gender conforming at the very least. Come on, there's got to be a way to. But I mean, if you look, uh, let's get this back here. But like, if you, oh my God, come on, seriously. Okay, get back to it. Ve- Make me clicked out of it again. God. Okay. Anyway, so very feminine, like long hair. Sometimes wears a skirt. Sometimes wears trousers or pants. Um, and that's like a school uniform. And so, and I've looked at a lot of different theories. A lot of people will say that she's a trans woman, or they are like non-binary, or like androgynous, or gender queer. Like, yeah, so I don't really like. It's not made too terribly clear. But yeah. Anyway, and I wanted to do like the anime that I actually watched. I've mentioned this before. Before folks started showing up. But I actually wanted it to be anime that I actually watched and not and be more, shall we say, yeah, I guess more genuine, more authentic, like me giving my own interpretation. But yeah, very feminine looking, but is biologically male, so do with that what you will, I guess. But you know, who knows? I mean, my interpretation is that they were definitely queer in some sort of way. It's even portrayed in the show that their parents are not too terribly, supportive of the lifestyle, and not to mention, they also work at. I don't know if it's like a specific LGBTQ bar or something, but she it works as, I don't know what's it called. Um, I don't know, not an escort. I don't think. I think what their performative name is Yuka-chan, and that's just that's how they are like supposed to, you know, portray themselves as feminine, as you know, women to some extent. Who knows exactly what it is, but some people say that just a dude that likes dressing up like a girl, but some people say that she's trans or they're trans, you know. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think starting out, it definitely seemed like, okay, I'm looking at a girl here, like that's clearly supposed to be a girl. But then they were saying stuff about how no, actually male, and you know, who knows? But I just kind of wanted to look at that a little bit, try to explain it, and without being, you know, without using like clips from the show because I don't want to get in trouble or anything. But that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. Have a happy rest of Pride, and catch you next time.